think I just laid down like a bucket list objective of wanting to learn Eruption. I think I've probably put down like the best version that I'm physically ever capable of putting down. Part of it was like, tied to this guitar that I got maybe a year or two ago, I guess. Maybe a year and a half ago, I guess. I don't think it will focus there. The Music Man Axis Super Sport. Basically, it's Eddie's kind of guitar that he designed with Music Man, and it's the finest instrument I own, frankly, just in precision craftsmanship, feel, playability, the way the pickups are dialed in for hard, heavy, high distortion, high gain. I don't know what else I could say. If you're interested in one of these, I'm sponsored by no one for anything, by the way. This is just my guitar, and I will say again, I think it's the finest instrument I own, and I own a Gibson custom shop, a Fender custom shop, and pretty much at this point, all of my guitars are really expensive. I'm older and have been blessed enough to work and can afford some guitars at this stage in my life, but this is probably just all in the finest one that I own. It's amazing. And so anyway, back to my bucket list. I always wanted to know, can I pull off Eruption? What I laid down is like a year and a half worth of work. Learning the parts, I learned pretty much Pete Thorn's version, and I will say, if whatever you're listening to, if you listen to what I'm playing or recording, it's okay. It's kind of Eruption. It's not note for note, obviously. I don't know that anyone is humanly capable of literally duplicating note for note. There are folks out there that come super close, and again, I'll mention Pete Thorn, who his old video where he breaks it down. That's how I learned it, and I will tell you that, man, he is damn close. The speed, the precision, the execution that Pete sort of demonstrates when he lays it down is like, wow. But even so, I still don't think anybody is humanly capable of duplicating what Eddie did on tape, and that's the point of what I want to make. I mostly learned the parts. There's a few places where I'm fudging and just doing what came naturally to my fingers, and I felt like in those couple of parts, like, okay, whatever I'm doing, it's close enough. I mean, I'm never getting note for note, so what's the point? A couple of little spots just came more naturally to my fingers, so that's what I burned in. But the real point is, you realize pretty quickly why Eddie Van Halen is Eddie Van Halen and you are not. If I go back and listen to the record, listen to what I just put down, it's like, yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's a decent version of Eruption, whatever, it's mostly there. And then you go and you listen to the record, and you're just like, holy shit. I mean, it's an entirely different song. What I just recorded is, again, like a kind of a version of Eruption, but it is not what Eddie laid down on that tape. The swing, the impeccable, flawless rhythm, execution, speed, attack is superhuman, and you're like, okay, well, yeah, he's Eddie, and the rest of us are not, including Pete, although he comes really, really close. Again, the way he lays that thing down, and you're just like, wow. So anyway, it's a bucket list item. I did it. I wanted to share a few thoughts about the journey. It took me, learning the parts, like mentally, like a day, a couple days, whatever. I don't sit around and play guitar for 12 hours at a spot. So it took me about 3 or 4 days, I guess, just kind of checking in on the videos, going note for note with what Pete was doing in his instructional video. And it took 2 or 3 days, I guess, to mentally know, okay, well, these are the parts I'm supposed to be playing. It took about a week to be able to, even fumble through a version. So after about a week, I could fumble through a version. It's taken me a year and a half to get to what I laid down, which is a relatively competent version with only a few mistakes here and there, and a reasonable level of attack. That took me a year and a half. Again, I'm not a 12-hour-a-day guy. I mean, I just play on the weekend and after hours. As I've said on this channel before, I have a very real job. And this is just a hobby. So, I've been playing on and off, and sometimes, over this year and a half, I mean, it's been 2 weeks and I don't come back to it, but I've been fooling with it and trying to burn it in for like a year and a half. And I feel like what I just laid down is probably the best I'm ever going to get, frankly. And it's okay. So, but I feel, I don't know if proud of myself is the right word, but I mean, it's an accomplishment, and it was a bucket list thing to learn Eruption and see if you could put it down. And I feel like I did it. Like, it's okay. The intro part, I'm fudging a few things to my knowledge. I'm probably fudging more than I'm even aware of, but where I'm fudging a few things to my knowledge, kind of at the beginning. The transition, that part's not note for note. That's how I did the transition there, but he's doing something else, and it goes by so fast. It's like, I don't know what he's doing. But so I'm fudging that little transition. Fudging that, and then there's also a couple of spots where it's like physically I'll never be able to execute it. I have kind of medium, smaller size hands. Definitely do not have like large hands, and so there's a couple of stretches where it's just like there's no way I will ever be able to execute it with the kind of precision and attack that Eddie's getting to, or even like Pete or some of the other guys. Who just amazing players who can just really lay it down. And that's, this part down here. Well, I'm fudging too. Well, actually, yeah, I'm fudging a couple things down here. That's pretty much what he's playing. That's all pretty right on. Right here. I'm kind of fudging that. That's not the little bend that he's doing. He's doing something else. But that just... I could get through it that way, so I'm fudging that part, and then this next part, I think I'm mostly playing kind of exactly what he's doing for the most part, but I'm just unable to execute like what he's doing, the way he's doing it. And he's doing it so fast. That's the stretch that I can kind of play it, but not at speed and not with attack. That part came kind of natural. But that stretch, that whole little run, I just can't make that stretch with the kind of authority and execution, obviously. And the stretch is a little much for me, but I kind of got through it. So that part I'm fudging. And then this next part, the next part is literally the hardest part of the solo. I mean, to me, and I feel like I've heard other people say it. The swing, the rhythm, whatever the hell Eddie is doing through this section is unachievable. You can't duplicate it. That's like okay, I guess, right? And hours and hours, but there's definitely some swing rhythm thingy that he's doing differently, and the speed that he attacks that section is like mind-blowing. I'm basically just doing and that was that little, that was my version of trying to put some swing into that little part. But it's not what he's doing, and I don't know exactly what he's doing. I can't. It's so fast, and that the swing that he's putting on it is just crazy. So anyway, that's how I got through it. And then, I mean, that's it. This is the hardest part to me. And the tapping is the tapping. Again, I kind of fell apart toward the end. Still, it's one take. What I'm recording is one take. I was going to just do one take. I'm not editing. I'm not punching. Nothing. It's one take, and I'm sort of fumbling a little bit, falling apart a little bit on the end of the tapping. But the tapping it's tapping, and it's definitely not the hardest part of the solo. It's maybe the hardest part to really dial. It's not the hardest part. It's very, very difficult to really dial in the tempo and the swing and the movement. Again, not sure anybody can really duplicate exactly how he's doing it with precision and timing, but it's not the hardest part, and it's physical fatigue for me, and probably for a lot of folks. I mean, once you get into that, your pinky is dying as you progress through that section. So it's literally like physical endurance at that part. And you're just trying to hold it together and make it through the end. And I was breaking down a little bit. Again, it was my best pass. I think I could play it 1,000 more times, and I don't really think I'll get through it any better than what I laid down. And I was kind of falling apart toward the end. My rhythm was a little off, but I'm just powering through at that point. So the rhythm's a little off, the execution's a little off, and I'm also starting. What I learned is, if you're not really dialing in, if you're not really dialing in what you're doing, you start to get too much ambient noise because the gain is so high. Just little imperceptible movements that aren't precise enough, and you start to get too much gain coming through, and that started to happen toward the end. So anyway, that's my self-reflection on my Eruption journey. And again, a lot of it was just inspired by, I really dig this Music Man guitar, and I figured once I got one, I would tie it to my bucket list item of trying to learn and play Eruption, and it is what it is. So hopefully, if you're a guitar nerd, or you're playing Eruption or learning Eruption, hopefully you found the comments interesting. Just kind of sharing my points of view and my experience trying to learn the thing. And again, I think main takeaway is Eddie Van Halen is Eddie Van Halen, and the rest of us are not.